I'm going to walk you through how you can make a brief that gives creators the freedom to express themselves, but also gives them constraints so they represent your company accurately. I've been working on this agency, Influencer Advisory, with my wife, Billy and Felicia, for the last 2 years. We've run campaigns for companies like Bubs Natural. We've made them tax ROAS with a budget of 5,000, Function Health, budget of 220,000, ROAS of 7x, and other companies averaging between 2 to 3x in ROAS. Now, the biggest problem we first see is a creator actually found something about your product that they don't like. If this is the case, you want to surface this, address it, and make the creator say something else. You don't want to enforce this in the creator brief because then the creator will come across inauthentic to their audience. So let me just give you an example. Before every creator posts, we send them this message to hear how they felt about the product. How did they feel about it, whether it was a software, whether it was a physical product, what parts felt most natural to use. If anything works a little bit differently than expected, just opening this invitation for them to share their honest experience. Then they mentioned they overall liked it. You were working with a gut health company, but she didn't notice this one thing, which she was supposed to say in the creator brief. It was a main talking point that we help with bloating. So then I said, no worries. Instead, you can mention these other aspects. And we ensured that we had a couple of main points, as you'll see shortly, that we wanted to demonstrate throughout this integration. And she could pick any of them. So we told her, no worries, just pick some other ones, right? This allows you to avoid any inauthentic experiences. You don't want the creator to sound inauthentic, right? The second biggest problem is when you don't include guardrails. If you don't have guardrails, your creator might say something, it'll get you fined by the FDA when they find it a couple years later, maybe a couple months after, because these are YouTube videos. You're going to stay on the internet forever. So what you do want to encourage is to speak from personal experience, describe the benefits as support, and there's some others here. And you don't want to claim to treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition or promise guaranteed or permanent results and the other things listed here, unless you have an FDA-approved product and you've got an approval to talk about these things. Let me actually show you this on both a good and a bad creator brief. In our app, we track a bunch of sponsorships, like this one, the company Calamecris, or the influencer Calamecris was sponsored by TriFume. And you can see we did their breakdown of the analysis. Here's the transcript. You can see it's quite short. We broke it down, and effectively, the FDA compliance was right on point. There was disclaimers. There's no claims of diseases. The claims were consistent. The benefits were framed as support, right? Fume helps interrupt that old pattern. Just for reference, Fume is not so much an e-cigarette because it has no batteries, but it's a form of e-cigarette without any nicotine and batteries and chemicals. It's proven as it's a healthy transition. No before or after health transformations, no guarantees, no time-bound promises. Typical relatable testimonial, proper labeling. You don't want to manipulate fear. You don't want to imply any medical outcomes, and you want visible disclosure. All things you can keep in mind. Now, on a bad integration, or a risky one, whereas instead, let me give this integration of OneSkin, which is a wellness cream, who sponsored Jojo from Juris in this video over here, if you'd like to see it. Now, this one had some issues because OneSkin is not an FDA-approved product. So they didn't put in disclaimers. They didn't frame the benefits as support. They said OS1 is OneSkin's first ingredient proven to target distinct cells, the root causes of, et cetera, et cetera. So these suggest definitive results instead of support, which you're not allowed to do for not an FDA-approved product. It says validated in 5 different clinical studies, whereas you don't want to include this in ads, even if it's true. It has a guarantee, which you don't want to include either. And it has a medical outcome, which you don't want to include unless you're an FDA-approved product. So these are all issues which can get them flagged later on. So this is an example of a creator brief which either explicitly mentioned these and they were unaware, or they didn't have this in the creator brief, so the creator made these mistakes on their own. Next up, problem 3 is the brands focus too much on themselves in the brief. So what you want to do when making the brief, and I'll show you in a couple minutes, ask a couple questions like, what is the viewer actually thinking about? Don't think about talking about your company's story too much. We found these creator briefs, they don't actually get people to buy from you. You want to really address what's going on in the person's mind. And this is what gives you those amazing conversions, the ROASs of 6 to 10x. The fourth problem is creators will freeze if you don't give them a brief. Some companies do this too. They'll give just a couple talking points, not a proper brief. The problem here is the creator will naturally put in anything because they have a blank mind. You didn't really give them any instructions, and they'll just use a generic approach. So the solution to this is give them prompts, not a script, right? We'll talk about this in a second. The fifth problem is overbriefing will kill authenticity. If you overbrief, give them too much, the content will actually feel forced. It's going to be like an ad. And this happens because the marketing team just wants to be really consistent. But when you write word for word, it's just going to completely eliminate how the creator sounds. When the audience hears that, they're going to skip through. So ban scripts entirely, just use bullet points. Now, the sixth problem, and a lot of people don't think about this, but they don't clearly define success. Have one of the three use cases that I'm about to show you, and make it clear to the creator you're focusing on that. If you want direct conversions, which most brands are optimizing for, make it clear that you want viewers to turn into customers. The creators should identify exactly who's the target audience. They should present a very clear next step. They should create urgency. They should clear very short and decisive. And there should be a very strong CTA. You don't want too many backstories. You don't want multiple messages. You don't want an educational deep dive unless it's a very educational product. If instead you're optimizing for free trials and signups, we recommend this for software products. You want to reduce friction. Tell them how easy it is to start free trial. Frame it as an exploration. And you want a lighter CTA because this is what's going to help more people take you up on trying it out. That's all it is, right? You don't want to have a high pressure sales tactic, and you don't want heavy explanations. You just want people to try it out without thinking too much. Now, the third use case, this is the least frequent one, is awareness. But companies still want this, especially big brands. In this case, you want to storytell. Everything should be a storytelling. You don't even need a strong CTA. People will find out about you naturally through the conversion videos after watching a couple of awareness videos. And that's why the best thing you can do is have creators that target both. Have creator briefs that target both sides, both conversion, both awareness. Both conversion and awareness. Let's go through a case study. So Fume's goal, they wanted at least 50 plus coupon code redemptions per creator. This was the integration that I showed you before, by the way, that did really well. So the messaging here is, Fume is a flavored air device that replaces the hand-to-mouth habit of smoking/vaping. No nicotine, no vapor, no electronics. If your creators are lazy, and there will be around 30% of them which just don't read the entire creative brief or skim through it, make this clear at the very beginning, right? Make it something they'll remember throughout the entire integration. Exactly what it is, right? If they read something, they'll read what's at the top and skim the rest. Now, based on this, they'll be able to make the rest of the integration much better because they'll have reference, they'll actually understand it. You won't believe how many times a creator actually doesn't understand what product they're talking about, or how many brands we see not correctly prompting and communicating with creators. This creates a lot of confusion down the line. Then we give them 3 to 5 main talking points. Now, we don't tell them they have to enforce any of these. They can just pick whichever ones they resonate with the most. Then from there, we want a very simple CTA. We want to make sure there's consistent CTA. So give them the entire sentence that they can put as a pinned comment in the description, have pop up on the screen. All of this should be consistent. Now, you want to introduce a section where you include the visual must-haves. And also another thing, as a little treat, let me mention, make it, so here's the visual must-haves. This is so that you know exactly what clips to film. The last thing you want is to tell them, hey, we actually wanted these other features being shown after they've already filmed it and published it. Make sure you have a clear structure to the integration as well. The length, where you want it, what to include, just a very rough structure. Notice all of this is bullet points, not a script. And if you have all of these elements and include the legal and compliance ones that we talked about earlier on with the disclosure, medical claims, allowed positioning, avoid what they should avoid in the medical framing, right? And this is going to be a great starting point when they make you a sample. You can just test and say, hey, this part of the creative brief, did you follow it? And if they didn't follow it, then you have it in writing and it's very clear, it's black and white, that they just didn't pay attention to the creative brief, which will allow you to get them to refilm it even if they post it, right? The last thing you want to do is get sued a couple months down the line. So watch this video over here, which will show you how to find creators for super cheap.